we educate teachers that is going into practice from the first, maybe kindergarten class as we have it in Denmark, to the 9th, 10th grade. And also we educate what we call in Denmark, we call them pedagogues. It's a kind of a social worker, but into daycare institutions and so on. So it's a title that is called pedagogue in English, but I'm not sure if you are familiar with that kind of title. But it's almost like a teacher, but they have a pedagogy kind of perspective on the children, and they don't teach, but they are with the children in institutions from 0 to year 6 in the children's lives.
Okay. So it's called kindergarten.
It's before kindergarten and kindergarten and the transition to school. And we also have pedagogues in institutions that go after school activities, and so on. And some of them are actually into practice as well. Kind of degree. That's why we call it university college. It's not a university, but it's somewhere in between a 3 and a 5-year education kind of level. In Denmark, a master's degree is 5 years kind of training at university level, and this is not the same. It's like a 4-year education system, and we also have a lot of different other educations inside our organization, but these are probably the most important ones when it comes to you. We also have further education as well, on diploma level. So you have to have had 2 years experience in practice with your being educated, and you can get a higher level. It's a full-time 1-year education as well. A lot of teachers take maybe 1 or 2 different kind of modules in a period, and then if they have like 6 modules together, then they will have that diploma. So it's kind of a master's, but it's a small master, if you can say that. It's very Danish, I think.
Yeah, we are.
It's a lab which has been evolved out of an institution in Denmark, which is called Center for Educational Resources, which I'm part of, and Ms. Peder has been part of. We've been here for maybe 50, 60 years in Denmark. It's a public service organization. That means that we are funded by the government to figure out what kind of learning environments and technologies and educational resources, learning materials are good for different subjects. And we have all of them. We have all different kind of materials that the different publishers try to sell to schools. So they can come for us. They can come to us for support on, do we need to buy that or that or that. We have all of them, so they can get that kind of consultancy for free.
Okay.
We have a group from a municipality, different teachers from different schools, and from the same municipality, trying to figure out something about how to explore technology within their different kind of subjects, but also explore technology as a new approach to how to understand pedagogy and didactic thinkings.
the philosophy of being a laboratory, and being a place where you experiment.
Yes.
Is that if it's all clean and nothing is there, it sort of doesn't really call for trying something out.
Yeah, for exploring.
Where if it's a bit messy, if things are lying on the table, you sort of want to try and touch it and try things out. Right?
Yeah.
So we try to explore a lot of different materials that maybe could be something in school, or maybe doesn't really have the potential yet. So we try to make that kind of effort to figure out what is good for the school and what isn't before schools buy it. So we try to make use of all our experiences in the lab to take these approaches out into practice. So this pillar is as a consultant is out at the schools with the teachers and trying to figure out what could be a good approach to this class, maybe sixth grader or first graders, and in their maybe Danish or English or math teacher classes.
I see.
In Denmark, called technology comprehension.
It's for which grades?
From
elementary school.
Elementary school.
Yeah, and so the aim for our common project, which is called Play at Heart, is to figure out how to integrate playful approaches to how to understand that emerging new subject called technology comprehension. So we have a thought that the playful approaches could really benefit that new subject when teachers are really beginners in everything about that subject. So we try to figure out how that's the aim of the project.
Okay, so
we need to have our teachers figure it out themselves. I mean, I can tell as much as I want to, but if they don't really feel it, then it won't happen out at the schools. And they need to have the entire school need to have that as a common goal to try to want to explore new things at the school. Otherwise, it won't have any kind of groundbreaking new school system within it. So that's, I think that's one of my main learnings from having a lot of teachers through the lab, is that they need to figure it out themselves. I mean, I can tell as much as I want to, but it doesn't really matter. They have to explore it, and they have to make micro kind of explorations in the school, in the classroom, and see, oh, that works, and what can I build on that, and so on. And at some point, eventually, they will try to find new ways. We have an area over in the lab called our breaker space, where we take junk, use the materials, and we use them for building new stuff. But try to take a computer and break it in different parts and see what can we use these different kind of components to, if you want to make a new artifact for instance. So.
Today I was at one of the schools we work with, and one of the teachers told one experiment she was doing with the children. She had physics, where they were, I think it was 4th grade, where they were going to learn something about sound and sound waves. And normally she would start out by sitting the children down and talking to them about sound waves. What is a sound wave? What is a decibel? How do you measure sound, and so on and so on. But in sort of trying to take another approach that would be part of sort of the playful approach to comprehension, to technology comprehension, she said, well, here are a decibel measure, and here is another decibel measure. Try to make a soundproof wall. So instead of saying a lot about how do you make a soundproof wall, how does sound waves behave, do they go through the table, do they go through air, try to make, if you make a sound of one side of the wall, it doesn't show on the measure on the other side of the wall.
Okay.
So one of sort of the ways of doing this, she concretely sort of thought, would be sort of to flip the idea of first, normally when you teach something you would say first you talk about what is the subject, and then you would have some activities that sort of shows how does it work, right? And then to flip it around to say, okay, first we'll do something, and then we'll talk about how did you think it was working? What did you think? What do you know already about sound? What do you know already about the subject? And then afterwards she would talk about more concretely what does it actually mean when we do things like this. So this both trains the children to not necessarily go with the first the best idea. It trains them to collaborate with each other. It teaches them to work in iterations, like in design processes. And it also teaches them that maybe you actually know something about this subject that you didn't think you knew.
We could make a little starter session where we would give them perhaps a box of Lego, and then they would to try to figure out in a small group what are their teaching values if they have to build them in Lego and put words into the different kind of building blocks they use. So they make a small stage, or what do you call that, where they put the different bricks on them, and then they try to explain what is my kind of teaching role where I am, and what is my values when I'm in the classroom with the students and so on. So that could be one kind of activity that is really concrete on how to get a common language within a group of teachers that have to develop new ideas of pedagogy and didactic. Dear children, we want to make a new classroom. How should it be? What should it look like? What kind of different areas do you want to have that classroom resembling? So what do we build our values on in this classroom? And it's the same kind of activity. Hello guys, and welcome to Denmark. We invite you into our facilities here in Copenhagen, and we'll love to see you here soon.